Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Young Family Tai Chi, traditional long form, section 1. And we're just at the beginning. So let's do a little review of the last class since a few of the people weren't here. And then we'll go on to the first big move. Okay. The salute is a fist. So you curl your fingers, put your thumb over the top, cover it. That's a salute, okay? So we salute at the beginning and end of class. Then the other things that are important are Tai Chi is based on yin and yang. So the properties of yin and yang are that yin and yang exist each only because of the existence of the other. And the other property is that each limits the other. And the third property is that at its extreme, each becomes the other. Okay. So the example is day and night, okay? So there is no day without night and vice versa. You wouldn't say, if there were only day, you would not have the concept of night, right? I mean, why would you have the word night if there were no night? When day goes to its end, it becomes night, right? And night is the limit of day, because when day, once again, exists only because there is a night to limit it. The property of our Tai Chi form is that it's big and round, okay? There are other Tai Chi forms that are very, very small. Like, for example, we do cloud hands. You can see my hands are really big. There are other forms that do it like this. Okay, so our form is big. And we have 10 essentials. I will send them to you. And they are like a sort of like points that tell you if you're doing it right. Okay. And the other thing I would like you to know is of the 10 essentials, 4 of them have to do with body shape. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So I'll go through this real quick, okay? So we have something called standing practice. Standing practice looks like this. You have your feet shoulders width apart. What does shoulders width apart mean? Shoulders width apart means that the outside of your shoulders is the same width as the outside of your feet. So you can kind of guess, or if you're really picky like JP, you would measure it out, and then then you would, you know, make little lines on the floor, and then you'd really be set. So you have shoulders, your feet shoulders width apart. Then the other thing that you have to remember is you want your head to be up. So there are two images I'd like to leave you with on that front. One is, imagine that your head is a sunflower and it is going up toward the sun. So you want to have the sense of going up. The other image is, if you imagine that you have a hook on top of your head and there's a string holding your head from the top, then your head is stabilized by the string and the rest of your body from your neck down just hangs down. Okay, you want to relax your body so it's just hanging down. Okay, so your head is up and the rest of your body is down. Now, standing practice refines that somewhat. So standing practice has you have your head up. That's number one essential. Two is that we're going to have our hands, can you see, form a circle. I have a circle. So what that circle does is that I should feel a kind of extension. I should feel an extension from my spine all the way to my fingertips. And that round shape gives me that extended feeling. Okay. Then another thing that is a refinement of this body shape is shoulders down, elbows down. So you do not want, in the course of your form, to have your shoulders come up or your elbow come up. You want to have it feel like it's down. Even when your hand is up, you should think of having your shoulder and elbow down. And what that does is that helps you connect once again to your spine. If your shoulder or elbow are up, it puts a kink between your spine and your fingertips, right? You want to have that natural rounded shape. Then the other thing is to relax the waist. And this, for many people, is a difficult concept. What you're going to do is, if I'm standing this way, when you're standing, if you bend your knees just slightly so that you don't lock up your knees, okay? Don't lock up your knees. You have a natural concave part in your back. What you want to do is you want to imagine that you're sitting on a stool, okay? If you sit on a stool, your pelvis goes in and this curve straightens out. So as an exercise, you can try standing up against a wall. If your shoulders and your hips are against the wall, try to see if you can get this part to go up against the wall. And that will give you the feeling of that straightened spine. And the reason you want a straightened spine is, in the classics, they talk about the energy coming from your feet, going through your legs, controlled by the waist and coming out your fingers. And how does it get from your foot to your fingers? It goes through your spine. And when you straighten your spine, you essentially shorten the distance for that energy to come out. So that's the idea, okay? And the reason, in the olden days, the masters used to make their students stand for hours like this, you know? I think most people, if they can stand for 5 minutes, they feel they've really done a lot. So just do a little bit. And what this does is it gives you an idea of what your body shape should be. So if in the course of doing the form, you feel this doesn't really feel right, go back to this shape and it will tell you, this is where you ought to be. Okay? So let's review what we've done so far, which is the first 2 items of the 103 form. Many, many, many repetitions. So don't feel like you're going to have to learn 103 new moves, It's not that way. So the first thing you're going to do is prepare. Prepare is an incorporation of all the things that I just told you. So prepare means that you have your feet shoulders width apart, you have your head up, your tailbone is down, your hands are by your side. So think of your middle finger as touching the seam of your pants. If you were wearing jeans, you would have seam on your sides of your pants. So that's prepare, okay? Head up, tailbone down, hands by your side. Then opening. Opening, you rotate your forearms so that your hands are in front of your thighs. And you come up to shoulder level, and then you come down again. Your hands stay pretty much flat all the way to the bottom, or almost all the way to the bottom. So from the side, it looks like this, okay? So your head is up, hands by your side, then this is prepare. Then opening, rotate, come up to shoulder level, and then from your upper arms first, come down. Your hands stay pretty much flat, and it's almost to the bottom. And your hands are still pretty much parallel to the floor. Can you see that? They're in front and pretty much parallel to the floor. Okay? So, most of the time, I am going to be doing this with my back toward you. And the reason is that for a lot of people, it's easier for them to follow if my back is toward you, because they're going the same direction as I'm going. I'm going to turn around and do it toward you if, you need to see my hands or there's some detail. I'll try to do it in more directions, just so that you can see things in various angles, okay? So if we were going to do prepare and opening, it would look like this. I would be shoulders width apart, head up, tailbone down, hands by my side. Opening, rotate, hands come up to shoulder level, and push down almost to the bottom. So opening tells you 2 things. Opening gives you the resting position of your hands. There are many places in the form where your hand will have a resting position, and it will be this position, okay? Slightly ahead of your thighs, hands kind of parallel to the floor, okay? And it's relaxed. So we don't lock our joints anywhere in the form, okay? So when I say I want you your arm to be straight, it's so-called Tai Chi straight, which is, it has a little bit of bend. So this would be straight. You see, there's a little bit of a bend there. It's not like that, okay? If I were like that, what happens? My shoulder comes up, right? Can you see that? So shoulder down, elbow down, that principle goes even when your arm is straight, okay? Same with your legs. Your knees are slightly bent. You don't lock your knees. So last time we learned bow stance. So what does bow stance look like? I'm going to show it to you in the direction you would be doing it. So if my feet are shoulders width apart, and I were to do a left bow stance, which means the left foot is forward, what I do...
Are you saying the word blow as in B-L-O-W?
No, bow, B-O-W.
B-O-W.
Like bow and arrow bow.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, well, the bow stance is one of four main stances, of which you will use two in the first section. Okay. The first section, you will only use the bow stance and the empty stance. The second section, you will use a one-legged stance, and the third section, you will have a low stance. So right now, we're going to do the first one, which is the bow stance. Okay. So, also called the archer stance, by the way. So if your feet are shoulders width apart, and I'm doing a left bow stance, what I do is I shift my weight to the left to release the right. What this does is it allows me to pivot on the heel of my right foot. And I pivot it so that it's toward the corner. Then I put all my weight to the right so that I can release the left. And then I step forward, heel, ball, toe, and then I put 60% of the weight in the front and 40% in the weight on the back. Now, how do I get the weight there? I push off here, and then I stop it with the front foot. So this is called deng and cheng. So it's push and support. So once again, what I'm doing is I'm moving away to the left. I am turning to the corner. Now you notice when I turn to the corner, my torso is turning to the corner. As a general rule, your torso should follow the back foot, the supporting foot. This is going to become the supporting foot. So I'm going to shift all my weight to that supporting foot. Then I'm going to release this foot, and I'm going to step it forward exactly ahead of where it was. I put my heel down first, I flatten my foot, and then I push off the back to add weight to the front. And I have 60% in the front and 40% in the back. Also, if I do it from the side, move the weight to the left to release the right, turn, put all the weight on the right, then move the foot forward, heel, ball, toe, bend knee, and you notice that I am slanted. Can you see there's a slant between the base of my neck and the heel of my foot? So the bow stance is often used for extending energy forward. So if you think about pushing, you're going to be slanted in terms of your body shape at the end of your bow stance. Okay? And the other thing that's very important in terms of the structure, I have to show this to you, facing you. Okay, shift weight, turn, all the weight goes on one side, and this foot goes exactly in front of where it used to be. And then I'm going to shift weight and bend knee. Now, the important thing that you have to realize in terms of your alignment is your knee should be in your toe direction. Okay? I don't want to see collapsed knees. Okay? No weirdness. Okay? I want your feet, your legs to line up. Okay? So I want your knee to be in the direction of your toe in the front and the back foot. So sometimes people, they're paying so much attention to the foot that's moving forward that they forget the back one and they collapse the back one. So don't do that, okay? This knee is in that foot direction. This knee is in that foot direction. Okay. Now, in order to do that, you would have to have flexible hips because you are going to have this arch, which the Chinese call the qua. And that arch is what allows your knees to line up with your feet. And the arch is a very, very strong structure. So that's why you want to utilize that structure for your stances. Okay? Are there any questions on this? Does it make sense? Okay, so let's try it. Okay, I'll do it in this direction too, just so that you get it in all four directions. Okay, so here I'm standing, I'm shifting weight to my left, I'm turning to the corner, I'm shifting weight to the right, and then I'm going to come forward, heel, ball, toe, bend knee. Now, the other thing is you should think also about your stride. Okay, how do I know how far forward to come? In other words, when I say, turn your foot here and step forward, how do I know how far to come forward? How far you go forward is dependent on how low you can go. So the strength of your back leg determines the stride length. So what does that mean? So if I'm here and I turn, if I am upright and I put my weight here, I can only step this far. Why is that? Because I can only step as far as I can go and come back. Okay? If I am lower, then I can step farther. Right? And I can still come back, right? If I have enough strength to stand on one leg, then I can step forward and come back. But if I do not have enough leg strength, then I must be higher. And that is as far as I can step. So people see demonstrations of Tai Chi. People are really far down and they think, oh, well, I would like to be able to step way out there. You can't do that if you can't come back. Okay. So think in terms of don't overextend. Don't go where you can't come back. Okay. So that is another thing to keep in mind. All right. So the signature move of Yang family Tai Chi is grasp the bird's tail. And grasp the bird's tail is made up of 5 moves. Left ward off, right ward off, roll back, press, and push. And the reason why you have all these versions of the long form where you have 108 moves, 103 moves, 85 moves, has to do with how they count. There are some people who count grasp the bird's tail as 1 move. We're counting it as 5 moves. So our long form looks like it's longer, but it's actually not. Okay. So we're now going to go into the first move of grasp the bird's tail, which is left ward off.
What's the word? How you spell that word you're saying?
Left, as in left, right.
Yeah.
Ward off. WARD -OFF.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the grasp the bird's tail demonstrates 4 energies. It's 5 moves because you're doing ward off left and right, but it's ward off, roll back, press, and push. What is ward off? Ward off is the defining of your space. Ward off is connecting. Okay, so in push hands, when you're connecting with your opponent, that you use ward off. Okay, what we show as ward off in our form is actually a combination of 2 things. We're showing both ward off and pull. Okay, but the important thing to remember is the ward off portion, which is in the case of left ward off, it will look like this. In the case of right ward off, it will look like this. And why is there a difference? Left ward off, your opponent is to your side. Right ward off, you're demonstrating when your opponent is in front of you. So that's why you have that difference. Okay. Left ward off is, well, I'll show it to you and you will see that it's more complicated than it seems. Okay, so you already know how to go into into the bow stance, left forward. So you already know the footwork now. Now all you have to do is add the hands, right? So I'm going to show it to you in the direction that you would be doing it. Okay, just so you can see what it looks like. So if we are almost at the bottom, okay, then I'm going to turn toward the corner. all the weight on the right, step and close, turn and shift weight. That's what it looks like. I'll do it from the side so you can see. So if after opening, I'm almost to the bottom, I'm shifting my weight to the left. I'm turning toward the right. I'm putting all my weight on the right. Step and close. Turn and shift weight. So I'm going to do it facing you so that you can see what the steps are. Okay. So would you like me to do a mirror image, or is that more confusing than anything else? I'll just do it the same way. Okay. So if I'm almost at the bottom and I turn my right foot, you can see I'm starting to separate my hands. Then when I put my weight on the right, I have one hand up and one hand down. When I step, I close. And then as I shift weight, my right hand passes over the middle of the left forearm and I turn. And I'm looking that way at the end of the move. Okay. So if we look at the hands, actually, I think it's easiest to see on this side. So let's do an exercise first. Let's do an opening and closing of the hands. Okay. So if I am here and I come up, I close, and then I open. So here, the way this move would work is that I close and open. If I were to do an exercise of opening and closing, it looks like this. Close, close. This shows you how to do close on both sides, right? What is the closed position? The bottom hand is under the elbow of the top hand. The top hand is about shoulder level, okay? So if you open and you close, your hands are kind of parallel, right? You want your elbow down, right? You don't want so your elbow is down. Otherwise you raise your shoulder, right? So your elbow is down. And this is underneath your elbow. So then you open, close, open, close. So you want to close enough so the bottom hand is under the elbow and the top hand is shoulder level. Open, close, open, close. Okay, now if we apply it to this, what happens here is that when I'm almost at the bottom and I turn here, I have one hand up, one hand down, ready to close. Then when I step, I close. Then when I move my weight forward, the left hand comes up and the right hand passes over the middle of the left forearm, and the right hand comes to the resting position. Remember I told you at the end of opening, sometimes you have your hand in the resting position. This is in the resting position. Okay? So once again, if I do it from this direction, what happens is I shift. I have one hand up, one hand down. As my weight goes to the right, I step and close. As I shift weight, I turn, and one hand passes over the other. I'll do it from this direction. Here. Turn. One hand up, one hand down. All the weight is on the right. Step and close. Shift and turn. Now, if you notice, after I've turned, I am in a bow stance, but I'm not here. I am here. The left ward off is one of the 3 exceptions to the lean forward stance for the bow stance. It's unfortunate that it also happens to be the first big move, but that's the way it is, right? So you are up and down in terms of your torso orientation at the end of left ward off. So if I do it the same direction as you, I'm here. I shift left. I turn right. All the weight on the right. Step and close. Shift weight and turn. So if I were to look at each hand by itself, I'm at the bottom here, okay? If I look at the left hand, I am shifting a little to the left, I turn to the right, okay? Then, as all my weight goes on the right, my left hand goes down. As I step out, this is at the bottom. Remember, step and close? This is at the bottom. As I move my weight forward on the left side, this swings forward. It swings up. And that's its ending position. Okay. So it feels almost straight. It's swinging up. Okay. The right hand, if I'm here and I shift left and I turn to the right, then as my weight goes to the right, this hand comes up. Then step and close. And then as this one is swinging up, if I'm closed, as this one is swinging up, this one comes down to the resting position. Any questions?
This is being recorded, right?
What?
This is being recorded so we can watch it a couple of times.
This is being recorded, yes. Okay, but are there any questions? Let's do it a whole bunch of times. Okay, I'll do it in all 4 directions. And then, you know, because each direction you see a little different piece of it. Okay, So I'll start with the direction you would be doing it if you started facing there. So you're almost at the bottom. You shift left, turn right, all the weight on the right, step and close, shift weight and turn and separate. Basically, you were closed here and you're opening here. Then in this direction, we're almost at the bottom. We shift to the left. We turn toward the right. One up, one down. All the weight's on the right. Step and close. Open and shift weight. And facing you, I am here, almost at the bottom. Shift left. Turn right. All the weight on the right. Step and close. Shift weight, open. And in the fourth direction, we're here. Shift left. Turn right. All the weight on the right. Step and close. Shift and open. So a few details in addition to being upright is gaze. Where are you looking? Okay, so if I'm doing it toward you, I am looking at you, right, when I start. Then as I turn, my body is going that way. I'm still looking at you, okay? Because I'm going to turn back and I'm facing forward. So when I turned my foot this way, my torso turned that way. My hips turned that way, okay? So when my weight goes all the way on the right, my body is moving in the direction of that foot, okay? But then my upper body turns toward the front. So even though my hips can go toward the corner, my upper body can still go toward the front. Then step and close. Then as I shift my weight to the front, my upper body turns because this is swinging here and I'm going to look there at the end. Is that clear? Questions? So if I am turning, I'm going toward the front now. Swinging and then looking to the side. Generally speaking, when we do a bow stance, this is another case where it's kind of an exception. What happens is I am shoulders width apart when I start. I'm going to turn. I'm going to put my weight to the right. And then I'm going to move my foot forward. Generally speaking, your feet are not that close together. In other words, if your feet are further apart than shoulders width apart, then what you're going to do is you're going to pull in before you step out. Why is that? Because it helps you regain your balance. Okay, if my stance is wider, and I turn, what happens is when I put my weight here, I want to stabilize before I step out. So I'm going to pull in a little and then step out. Okay, you'll see that in right word off, but I'm just warning you that that is something different. That left ward off is one of the few times when you can just step straight forward. Most of the time, you will have to pull in because your feet are further apart and you want to make sure you have your balance before you step out. So one of the essentials that they talk about is separate empty and full. So one of the things you want to be sure about is you want to make sure all your weight is on one foot before you pick up and step out. Okay, you should not be kind of halfway and then lunging. Okay, you should have a definite feeling which foot is in control. And that will give you much more stability. Okay, any questions? No? All right. Yes, Sandra?
But when we're doing the left foot off now, you don't have to come back. You can just go, the left leg go the front, right? You don't have to brush back, then go to the
You
front.
don't have to brush through, right?
Okay, so this
Because
okay.
this is why this is the exception. Very often you do have to come in before you go out again.
But this time you don't need to.
This time you don't need to because you start from shoulder width apart.
Correct. So you are
It's only when you're wider than shoulder width apart that you have to stabilize and then go forward.
So this one here, you already have your bounce, so you don't need to swing around.
You
right?
you do go down, okay?
Yeah, I do.
So the first two moves determine two aspects of your whole form. When you finish preparing, when you open, you're going to come up and come down, right? That determines the pace of your form. Your whole form is going to be at that pace. When you go into left ward off, that determines the height of your whole form. Okay, so when I told you that your bow stance is determined by the strength of your back foot, that's because from now on, your whole form is going to be done at this height, which means that your knees are partially bent, the whole form. Okay? Except when you're standing up or something like that. But there are parts where people stand up when they're not supposed to be standing up, like cloud hands. When people go up, down, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to stay at the same height. Okay. So let's do this a couple more times. Okay. I'm going to turn around. You're going to be doing it in the same direction as I am. So feet shoulders width apart, prepare. Head up, tailbone down, hands by your side. Opening, rotate your arms and come up to shoulder level. Press down, almost to the bottom. Grasp the bird's tail, ward off left. shift left, turn right, all the weight on the right, step and close, shift weight and turn. Okay? Yes? I'm going to do it one time this way, and then we'll close class. Okay? So we're here, and we're going to shift left, turn right, one up, one down, step and close, turn and shift weight. How is that? Okay. Yes.
When you, at the end of this move, are you facing 3 o'clock?
Yes.
Or are you facing 3 o'clock?
I am facing the side. So if this is 12 o'clock, I'm facing 3 o'clock. I'm facing the direction of my hand. Okay. So when I came here, step and close. When I separate my hands, the left hand swings up, swing, and I'm looking past that hand in that direction. So you're always, I shouldn't say always, should never say always, right? So you're generally looking in the direction of either the dominant hand or where your opponent is. Okay. So here, this is the dominant hand as this swings up. So you are going to look past that hand. You should not look at your hand. You should always look past your hand. So you want to have a bigger purview. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. This week, practice just those 2 moves. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. And I will see you next week.
Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.
Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.